好，等一下。
你要哪个麦克？对。再到这。Good evening, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful night. So, welcome to our event. Today's event is very exciting. Without further ado, let's get started. I would like to invite everyone to come to not just our event, but also come to Taiwan Tech Arena, the place you are at right now. So I would like to invite the CEO and also the head of Taiwan Tech Arena, Andrea, to give a few words.
Thank you, Edgar. And distinguished guests and speakers, and ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to TTA and join the event hosted by TTA and Sparklabs today. I'm Andrea Xu, the Director of National Scientific Technology Council. My job is in charge of startups affairs in Taiwan, especially the academic startups from universities. So it's also why we are here right now. This arena was established in 2018 by our former organization, the MOST, Ministry of Science and Technology. Fortunately, at the beginning, we worked with global outstanding accelerators together, try to expand the Taiwan startup ecosystem and try to help Taiwan startups go global and linkage with the global startup ecosystem. So we are very lucky to have started at the beginning, and thanks for Edgar's a lot of effort help us to make a very meaningful events and do a lot of things about Taiwan startups. I see today is one of the very important events because when we speaking of startup, it's not only a startup business. It also means to find a better solution or efficient way to create more value or to benefit to our society. So especially in modern society, there are a lot of different kind of business model. Maybe your customer is not to maybe the enterprises or something others. There is a Chinese proverb that 羊毛出在猪身上，狗买单. All the business model will be possible. So I think it's also our challenge try to find which is a reasonable business model for our startup business development. So today is very lucky we have 5 outstanding speakers on such kind of field to share their experiences and the insight of the business model, especially B2B. And then I hope everyone here may inspire from their sharing experiences. And finally, thank you very much for coming to this event. And I hope you enjoy our arena and I hope everyone with a good health and a successful career. Thank you.
Our event, I would like to, because we have so many people coming here, I would like to take a group photo first. Does everyone mind to come to the center so we can just take a group photo together before the event?
And mask off, mask off. And one, two, three. Okay.
So we all know like starting a company is very difficult, especially for not just big companies, but also for startups. Startups are taking of like resources, especially like we don't have much money, we don't have like a lot of manpower, but growing business is so difficult. So we know like a lot of topics are talking about, how to do marketing, how do you like do the recruiting, how to do fundraising. But before everything, you need to have money first, right? But money is not just come from fundraising. You also need to get the money from like your own business. So how can you do your business? How can you expand your business? So I think that the business development is one of the very key things for startups, especially right now, like not just B2C startups, but how do you grow your B2B businesses? That's quite important. The reason why we are holding this topic because we know a lot of startups are asking about how can I grow our business. So I graduated from Taiwan University. My background is in quantitative finance. So it's financial engineering. Afterwards, I work at HP as a buyer planner, mostly like the logistics industry. Later, I'm working at IBM as a strategy consultant, mainly helping big companies how to do their executive business management. And later joined a early stage startup, Who'scall. I was the CEO of the company, helped Who'scall to expand the business overseas market to Japan, Korea, Middle East, and also Southeast Asia. So at that time, I was a team of 8 people. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of like capital, but we grow the business. It's like every 3 months, we'll grow 1 million users and reach monthly break even within a year after we start a company. So today we have the time to also share some experience from my past experiences. And later, Who'scall got acquired by Naver, which is a nice mother company. So on the other side, how can you grow even quicker, faster when you have resources? At that time, I realized why Naver did the talent acquisition, like grab me from Who'scall to join Naver, because they realized like finding a business development talent is so difficult. And at that time, I realized growing talent is also difficult. That's the reason why me and also like Roger and Rosa, we founded Jumpstart. It's a talent accelerator program. We want to get people out from big companies to join startups to grow more businesses. So we started in 2014. That was my side project, and we are still doing the project, and we've been doing that for 8 years already. And since then, I realized the core of Taiwan of all the business is growing all around startups. And there are not many startups that are targeting to go global from day one. And that was the reason why I founded Sparklabs Taiwan 4 years ago, exactly at the same time as like Taiwan Tech Arena. So we've been doing that for almost like 4 years. We've accelerated almost like 50 startups. So we help the companies how to expand their business to international markets. So today's topic, how to grow your business, how to find B2B leads. Super important, and I think everyone here is also curious about how we can do business development, how can we find business leads. And we have the honor to set up this together with PMf Strategy and also Jumpstart Global together with and also Taiwan Tech Arena to host these events. So besides like PMF, which I will introduce like JD later on, we also have like Roger from Mastercard, which is also a good friend of mine. We have like Dirk from Google. We have Star, Gaoqing from Salesforce, and also Jonathan from JustKitchen, which is also a portfolio company of Sparklabs. So today we don't talk about high level stuff. So we'll talk about our practice and also the techniques, how we use, what kind of the tools, what kind of methodology we use to expand our business, how do we find new leads. So without further ado, I will introduce the other co-host of the event, JD from PMf Strategy.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, so thanks for everyone for being here tonight. Okay, so I'm gonna do a 5-second pause. We have to turn off that microphone. So we're gonna pause real quick.
Zoom. Stop share. No, then I don't know. Sure. Yeah, I don't know. Down to Main Johnson. Hide video. Okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you all very much. As Edgar said, my name is JD, and I want to say thank you first for Taiwan Tech Arena for having us here today, JustKitchen for sponsoring this event, and all of our amazing speakers. Tonight, you are at, we're working through everything. You are at +1 business dinner. So what is +1 business dinner? This is really exciting because this is actually the 9th +1 business dinner that we've had. +1 business dinner started about 1.5 years ago out of my living room. And +1 business dinner was built on really 2 value statements and a mission. So a little bit about myself. I was born in Taiwan, grew up in the United States. I came back about 3 years ago having a career completely in B2B sales. So I had a 20-year career all doing B2B sales. I started my own companies. I was a fundraising and a sales CEO, which means that I was out there selling. I come back to Taiwan 3-4 years ago, got to meet some great Taiwan companies and some great accelerators. And then I realized 2 things. Number 1, Taiwan creates fantastic technologies and products. This is true. Number 2, Taiwan struggles at world-class sales and marketing leadership. This is my opinion. And when I came back to Taiwan, I met so many founders that had great technology, but they didn't know how to match that technology to sales channels, to B2B clients, and different ways to go and sell their product worldwide. And so we started +1 business dinner. Tonight is the most we've ever had at a +1. So please, round of applause, and thank you, Edgar and Taiwan Tech Arena. So we're gonna go pretty fast. There's a lot of point of +1 is to give you actual techniques that you can use in your B2B business. That's what we do. That's why you're here. If you like what you hear tonight, please come every month. We'll do it. We'll talk about another topic. And then join our our LinkedIn group. So we have a LinkedIn group. There's a QR code that you will see. Just raise your phone and you can use the QR code to join in our LinkedIn group, okay? And our mission, again, is to empower B2B sales and marketing in Taiwan. How we're gonna do it tonight, I'm going to share 5 tips. I'm about to start. It's gonna go quick. I'm gonna share 5 tips for finding leads for your B2B business. After that, Edgar is going to invite some wonderful speakers from Salesforce, from Google, to come do a very quick fireside chat around those tips and take some Q&A. We'll have a break. And then after that, Roger Lowe from Mastercard. Roger, raise your hand. And there you go. Roger is going to share 5 more tips. So tonight, you're going to get 10 tips and techniques to expand your B2B business. And then we'll do a fireside chat. And then we'll have some time for networking at the end. Very simple. +1 is really all about empowering you to walk away from tonight, hopefully with some ideas, but absolutely with some technique. Okay? Everybody ready for this? All right, let's do it. Before we get started, I do want to say 30 seconds about my company, PMf Strategy. So I came back, and because of that need, I saw that founders really needed to almost outsource their sales, especially B2B sales, especially early stage or funded founders. And that's what my firm does. PMf Strategy stands for Product Market Fit Strategy. We're a complete sales department and a complete sales outsource channel. We go from prospecting to all the way to close. We will close your deals, and we do it internationally. If you're interested in learning more about PMf, come find me, or we have PMf staff here in the crowd. Please raise your hand. Actually, stand up real quick, say hi. So they're all around. Please find them. They know about the tips and the techniques we're about to talk about tonight. Okay? So PMf Strategy. Number 1, 50,000 feet and 5,000 feet. It's really important I come to a lot of these things. I've been to a lot of them through my career. It's really important that when we say our experience and we say our ideas, for me, I always try and understand what level is that person speaking and how can I take that away? Are they speaking at a high level? Is this like general stuff? Are they speaking at a very tactical level, strategic level, like action oriented, right? So tonight we're gonna, with the speakers, really talk about some high level stuff in which you can open for discussions. And then there will be some things that are very practical and focused. For me, it was always important that I understand how to interpret that information so that I get the best out of tonight. So I always put this slide up, 50,000 feet and 5,000 feet. Okay. The first technique we're going to talk about is a 50,000 foot technique. It's called thought leadership. Okay. So everybody, if you're in B2B business, you want to close deals. And you probably know about thought leadership. Thought leadership is webinars, it's blogs, right? It's case studies. Okay, so if you have a business in B2B and you are not doing thought leadership, this is the risk that you're taking. 47% of C-suite executives shared their contact information after reading thought leadership. 38% believe that with lead generation and new contact, that will be very successful. So if you're in B2B business, even if you are new technology and you're not your client or your customers, you're not seizing on that opportunity. Real quick, how many people are in B2B? Let me see the hands. Okay, great. So you're in the right place. So we're just going to talk about B2B. How many people are founders or co-founders or founding team? Okay, awesome. So I believe that even in the founding team, you want to think about thought leadership. It doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money. It doesn't mean you have to write a lot of stuff. But if you're in startups, you are innovating, period. If you are innovating, you are bringing value to something. You are not, for the most part, you are not commodity pricing. You are not, for the most part, you are not saying, there's this thing A in the market, and I bring 10% less than A. You didn't create a company to do 10% less than A. If you did, it's going to be a really tough business model without a lot of money. For the most part, you created something, right? Some tech. And then you have to explain that technology to the world. That's called thought leadership. Okay. Everybody understands thought leadership? A lot of statistics Thought leadership is great. Thought leadership is this. Thought leadership is that. But I'm a two-man startup, two-person. My co-founder is a woman, so me, guy, girl, startup, right? Two-person startup. When do I have time to write this stuff? Okay. I will tell you that if you're a startup, one tip, you don't have to write your own stuff. So when I close sales, when I use thought leadership to close sales, you know how you have to always check in. So like, I give them a proposal and then they don't respond back to me. And then I have to write them an email. Hey, what do you think about that proposal? And then 2 weeks later, they don't get back to me. I have to call them. What do you think about this? Right? I will suggest to you that instead of just saying, hey, did you look at my proposal? The thing that you can do is send them something to think about. Okay. It could be as simple as a question. It doesn't even need to be articles. It could just be like, hey, did you know that there's new regulation in EU about this, right? About your industry. It could also be somebody else's thought leadership paper if you're doing sales, right? If you're doing marketing, you can't use other people's stuff and say it's your own. But if you're doing sales, you can. If you're doing sales and you have to follow up, you can send them something. You can say, look, hey, I came across this and I thought it'd be valuable for you to think about this. And by the way, if you have some time next week, and we can sync up about that proposal. That is much better than, did you look at my thing? Did you look at my thing? Did you look at my thing? So at the high level, thought leadership is important, right? It's important. You have to kind of think about it, invest in it. 50,000 foot level, 5,000 foot level. Use thought leadership to further your sales cycle and close deals, right? Position. I know we have Q&A, but later. But real quick, does anybody have a question about this? At +1, usually, tonight is a little bit different. We have a lot of people. Usually at +1, I talk and ask people stuff in the audience. But does anybody have a question or a thought about thought leadership? If you don't, it's okay. We're just warming up. Yes.
Talking about sending some variable where to get that kind of information. How do I define this is valuable or not to get a C-level person?
Yeah. So the question is, how do I find this information, right? And again, the answer is, if you started a company, you thought something was interesting, right? You have competitors in this space. Just if you think it's interesting, then you should pass it on to your customer. Actually, not even to close sales. You should just pass it on to your customer. You are the best judge. If you're a founder, C-team, you are the best judge. If you think it's interesting to you, it's probably interesting to them, right? There's another thing called consultative selling. So a lot of the professional salespeople will use this term, consultative selling. And consultative selling is the idea that as we do a sales engagement, right? So as I sell to you, I'm not just selling you on the price. Right? I'm not just selling you like this food. What I'm actually doing is I'm saying, hey, this fried chicken is actually new age fried chicken. It uses different ingredients. This is scientifically studied for you to lose weight. Did you know that? Here's a video. Can I call you next week? That's consultative selling. And if you're in B2B, and the bigger the deal size, the more consultative selling you're going to need to do, right? So you can always try. It's very little chance that you will send somebody something that you truly believe is interesting, and then they go, "This is stupid," right? It's very little chance. At least you try, right? So I would really suggest this thought leadership. Okay, here we go. Number 2. ABM, account-based marketing. Who has heard of account-based marketing? Okay, a few hands. So this is one of those things in which I start going, why doesn't Taiwan know this? Right, and it's not about like good or bad. It's really just the larger market, global market, US, talk in using ABM. is a term. And I hope that we can have more discussions around ABM. It's about 7 years old, I believe, at this point. Some people say ABM, account-based marketing, and then other people say ABS, account-based sales. And then now there's ABBD, account-based BD. Okay, very simple. Okay, here's the idea. This is traditional marketing. I bring a lot of leads. I have a big funnel. I do a lot of stuff to bring stuff into my funnel. I qualify. I score them, and then I try and close, right? And so I have this big lead funnel. That's traditional. Here's ABM. I start not with this, not with a big funnel, but with like 100 target accounts. I do B2B. Maybe I work on some electric car or some climate change or something really big deal size. And in my entire industry, there's probably 100 companies that I care about total. And as a startup, out of that 100, there's probably 10 that will buy from me total. So my sales strategy isn't to try and buy, do a big funnel at the top. My sales strategy is to figure out those 10 companies, figure out their org chart, who reports to who is the decision maker that can okay my pilot or try and work together with them. And then let's say that in IBM, right? IBM or Chevron or some gas companies, like I identify that, hey, they could use my technology. And so now I'll find their BD, their product manager, their head of research. These are my 3 people. So now I try and use everything I can to understand who they report to, who do they manage. And I make this list. And suddenly, from 10 people, I have 25. And I make this list. And now I target everything I have at them. I do LinkedIn, I do email, I do Facebook, I do events. I try and use thought leadership and consultative selling to try and get their attention. So in that example, again, at account-based marketing, you start with a small list. Small can be very small, 5. It could be 100, maybe 200. But you start with who, and then you spend a lot of time on who, right? And there are tools out there that help with all of this. But ABM in B2B is, like I said, it's like 5 to 7 years old. And it's a kind of a new trend than trying to do a huge top of funnel stuff. Let me take a pause. Does anybody have any questions over ABM? How many people use ABM or think about ABM in your company today? Oh, yes, sir.
Well, not really use it, but we use a similar strategy. We don't focus on all the market, but relatively like a small amount. But my question was that there will be some kind of risk since you're using the same energy and time on a very small amount of people. So if it fails, right? So what are the essential homeworks that you would do before you choose those accounts?
That is a fantastic question. So for ABM, you've got to have big deal size for the most part. Okay. So if you're a startup, if you're a new startup, excuse me, and you target SMBs, right? Like small company, you probably aren't going to do ABM, not yet. You just can't invest that much time and power right into that. But so that's the answer your question. But what I see a lot is companies with large deal size that try and go after SMBs, and they're not doing this ABM stuff, right? And by the way, okay, so they're not doing ABM stuff, and they're wasting that opportunity. The other thing I would say is ABM, there's a lot of blogs, there's a lot of literature around this you could read and strategy. I would actually say that Taiwan does ABM extraordinarily well. We just don't know it's ABM, okay? Because there's one way of ABM or one category of ABM, and which Taiwan does incredibly well. Does anybody know that category?
Oh, yeah.
Semiconductors, maybe. OEM. What's that? Financial, maybe. Yes. No. There's one kind of category of ABM that Taiwan does incredibly well. We just don't. At least I don't hear about it. Don't realize it.
Consumer electronics.
No, that's not ABM. That's probably the other way. Government contracts. That is complete ABM. How many governments are out there? Right? How many departments? How many movements is out there? 5, 3. RFPs are ABM. There are companies in Taiwan that get their entire annual revenue from government contracts. What do you do when you do a government contract? You know your buyer, you have to write the proposal. You have to know it really, really well. Government contract is ABM. Okay. So it's something to think about as you think about your business. Yes.
So I think for start, business owner, sometimes we fail into a trap. So for instance, if I just focus on like one single customer line, and they will probably effectively will execute a lot of customers. So if I say, oh, okay, for instance, TSMC says so I do all this customized. Actually, other clients, they don't need this customization. So if I just focus on what they need and try to satisfy everything they want, then probably I get into a client area because it cannot be scalable. I cannot go to the second phase or the third phase. The ABM, the end for the ABM is we want to expand our market to global market. So yes, I can satisfy everything for one or end client. How can I prove that? Everyone knows that.
Great question. So like, let's say you get in the sales discussion with like TSMC, and they want you to do a lot of scope, right? Scope creep. I will actually talk about that in point 5. So let me get back to point 5. But I would say that ABM is you knowing TSMC is who you want in the first place, right? So you created something, semiconductors, in which it's a Microtech ABM, TSMC, or maybe AMD or something, right? So you know ABM, and you're not out there going on Facebook, hey, everybody come to my event. Right? But I will talk about your point and number 5. Okay, let's continue. Channel sales and partnerships, huge. Okay, here's the other thing. Channel sales and partnerships. You create a technology, especially in B2B. You create a technology. Startups, it is incredibly hard to do reseller, SIs, direct to consumer with like 3 people. So it's really hard. So you should know where you are on the value chain so that you can go and find the right partner and you can sell to them. Okay. I'm going to talk about this quote in a second. It's one of my favorite quotes. But for Taiwan startups, I see this a lot. I have a wine opener. I built an AI wine opener. Okay, I like wine. I like drinking wine. I think AI is cool. So I built an AI wine opener that could do IoT wired into the cloud, and it can tell me the temperature of wine, and it'll make it so awesome. Okay, I have this fantastic wine opener. I am going to sell my wine opener to every store everywhere in Taiwan, and I'm going to go work with the top vendors. It's too hard. Understand where you are with that wine opener technology. Go find a reseller channel, or go find the biggest people that do wine openers. I don't know who that is, but go find them and talk to them. Or ramp up, get a lot of funding, and go direct sales. Okay, but understand what channels are. Understand what resellers and B2C channels, how they're different. This is a 50,000 foot idea, so it's not too hard to understand, but I suggest that everybody understand this. Here's the other one. The difference between sales and B2B. Okay, so Bernie Brenner, he started TrueCar, sold it, they went public in the US. So Bernie Brenner, mentor at Capital Factory in Austin, in which I went through the accelerator. He said this in his book. He has a book at the bottom, at the slides, you can take a look, great book, fantastic book. He said this, the difference between sales and BD, okay? Sales is about selling something. Okay, so I have something, I know my price, I know my features, and I'm gonna try and sell it. So if I go hit the market with sales, I wanna hear no as soon as possible. I wanna know the reasons why you won't buy. So I have this, why won't you buy? Blah, 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 no, okay, good, done. Next person, blah, 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 no, done. Next person, blah, 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 yes, great. Commission, blah, 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 no. Great. I want to hear no as soon as possible. Okay. Now, BD. So I know in Taiwan, a lot of people say they're BD, they're actually sales. Okay. But BD, true BD wants to hear no as late as possible. They never want to hear no. Even important, actually, to your question, sir. Yes is not even that important. Here's why. TSMC. Says, I want to work with you. TSMC said, yeah. But TSMC said, I will only work with you if you do this, 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 and this. You invest all this money and time and takes you out of your product roadmap. You don't want that. You got the yes from TSMC, but you don't want that. What do? You go back to them and you pitch it, you try to get into their product division, you rescope it. What you don't want to hear from TSMC is no, right? You don't want to hear no. You want to keep that conversation going. So why I say this, if you are in a discussion with a direct to customer, then you want to hear no as soon as possible. If you're in a discussion with resellers or SIs or even IP licensing, you want to long that thing, okay? You want to hear no as late as possible. That's how you know if you're in sales or BD. Okay, and understanding the difference is really important to close. I'm going to run through these quick because I know we have a lot of speakers tonight, but I'll be around if you have any questions. Okay, next one, LinkedIn prospecting, favorite. Actually, this is what my company does. So all the PMF people are like, oh, this is what we do. Okay, so LinkedIn is great for B2B. You see their roles, positions, okay? So most people think LinkedIn Premium is how to do LinkedIn. You pay for premium and you send an email. I started a company in 2015 and I thought that was baloney. I mean, it's fine, but it's not efficient. So what we did was we used LinkedIn connections and messages. So if you were on LinkedIn, you know you can connect with people, right? Everybody knows you can connect with people, right? So most people just connect. Your return rate, your acceptance rate on that is like 10% around across the board. Bad stuff. You can, when you hit this button, you can hit this button, which is add a note. And when you add that note, you should customize it. You should write, hey, I enjoyed your work on the sales blog and your recent piece on lead generation. I love to connect. This immediately increases, this is 10%. This immediately increases to 40, 50% immediately. Okay. Now, why do you want to connect with that person? Because you want to have a conversation. So do this. Then next, when you do that, now, here's the thing. LinkedIn Premium costs you money to send messages to people. If you are connected to somebody, it's free. So the key is to connect with them, get them to connect with you. And then you can then talk to them, reach out to them, right? Have this ongoing conversation. This is really useful. I've done it for 7 years now. I closed fundraising with this for my last company. This is how I met investors, advisors, also sales. And of course, our company does this as one of our key channels. Here's our performance. This is just a couple of campaigns that we've run that I want to show you. So out of 100 people, this is real data. Out of 100 people that we sent a connection request to, okay, so we did that same thing. Connect, add a note, boom. We had 45% people connect back with us. We had 18% conversations, And then in this campaign, we took 4 meetings. Out of 100 targets, we took 4 meetings. In this funnel, out of 100, we ended up with 8 meetings. So, right? So LinkedIn really does work. I'm a huge fan. And if you do it right, you can get meetings. I'll take a quick pause. Anybody have any questions? How many people use LinkedIn this way? Awesome. Yeah, it's like 30% of the crowd. Great. Yeah, this is a good trick. This is, especially in international. Right? If you're trying to meet international clients, this is a really good trick. Okay. We can talk about this more later. Okay. I think this is 4. This is 5. So this is 5. This is a high level thing. So this is today is all about how do you find new leads for your B2B business? That is our topic today, right? How do you find new leads for your B2B business? There's a technique. The technique is get your problem statement right. Okay, that's the technique. Because if you go, you spend all this time and you meet somebody, and then you get your problem statement wrong, they're not a lead. It's a waste of time. You spend all that time and you get to somebody, you get that problem statement wrong, it's a waste of time. If you get that problem statement right, boom, it's a lead, it's a prospect. Nothing else changed. Your technology did not change, your product did not change. It's now a prospect. Here's the example. So you asked about TSMC. Okay. I was going to do it with my wine example, but I'll do it with your TSMC example. No, it's okay. I can do it with your TSMC. So here's the TSMC example. You have a new way of semiconductor stuff, and you have this great tech. And you go talk to their product manager, PM, and you say, what's your name? Kim. So you say, hey, I'm Kim, and I have this new technology and I have all these great features, right? And that product manager is like, in those features, she's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, let's do a pilot. And you're like, great, that's a pilot. Let's do a pilot, right? And as you go through, right? As you go through, you realize not a fit. It's actually not a fit. Maybe it's scoping, not a fit, and it falls apart. Or you spend months wasting time. Waste of time. But if instead of saying, I have this great semiconductor technology, instead of doing that, you say, hey, TSMC PM, I have a unique IP technology that is specifically fit for people that want to do wafer designs in 3rd stage nano. And we're seeking pilots so that we can expand in the next 2 years because we know that that's where the market is headed. And then that person is like, oh, you know, that's not what I do, but that's exactly what my friend John in that other division does. And then you align. And then when you do that, you suddenly have the right lead and prospect for your business. So in summary, right? In summary, most of the time, I will say this for startups, because you're working new technology. Okay, so you're working new technology. In summary, most founders get this incorrect. They describe their technology. They describe the really unique thing about their platform. When instead, right? When instead, they should describe the problem that it solves. So when you go talk to a new lead, right? Describe their problem for them. And if they nod their head, then you go, okay, we have something. But if you just talk to them and you say, I built this AI wine opener, right? With this really cool AI technology, maybe they don't understand how to receive the information and you waste a lot of time. Okay. So this is actually one thing that I coach and I work with a lot of startup founders on. It is the idea that when you go and do your 30-second pitch, it's not about your technology. It's about the problem. It's about their problem. Get it right, and you're on your way. Get it wrong, and it's a waste of time. Okay, so that was 5, right? So that was 5 tips and techniques. We have some amazing people coming up next. Before I go, I always say, okay, so here's PMF. If you want to see us, you can always scan the QR code. We'll have it also in the break. Okay, so I will leave everybody with one bonus slide. Okay, here's my bonus slide. Putting it all together, everything we talked about today, ABM channels, LinkedIn, thought leadership, problem solution. And I'll go back to the LinkedIn example. This is a real client of ours that we work with. We created an ABM list there in B2B. So it's like 100 people. And then we found them on LinkedIn and we sent them that connection request message. It's an it's only 100 people. We sent it to them. We said, Ryan said, hey, I came across your profile, noticed your valuable experience at their company. And then he gave the problem statement. I marked it out because it's sensitive information. But he said, are you thinking about blah for this? And they said, yeah, let me check on your website. You'll get that a lot on LinkedIn. Then you go, cool. Then Ryan says, great, thanks for connecting. 1 or 2 sentences more. Then he throws a case study at them. Then they come back and they say, thank you. That's it. Then Ryan, the following week, just keeps going. Have you thought about this technology? Would love to answer any questions that you have. Says it again. 2 weeks later, you kind of see, hope you have a relaxing weekend. Then the lead, right, says, I haven't got the time to look at your solution. I'm on vacation now for 2 weeks. And then Ryan says, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were on vacation. Let me check in with you later. And then finally, 2 weeks later, hey, I hope you had a really good vacation. Blah, blah, blah. Were you looking were you able to take a look at the technology? Do you think it'd be a good fit? Hi, Ryan, glad to hear from you. I'm actually quite busy at the office with several meetings. Let's try and share a discussion on Friday. Understood. Can you provide me your email and I'll send you a calendar invite for a 30-minute call? There's the invite. We took the meeting and that was an opportunity, right? ABM on LinkedIn using thought leadership with a good problem solution statement. So this is not rocket science. It's not hard. It just takes some design. And once you have the design, then run the process. Great. Thank you, everyone. Let's welcome Edgar up for a
Thank you for JD sharing. So before we jump into the fireside chat, I also want to add the bonus part from my side, which combines like I think the above like 5 points. I think it's really hard for B2B sales, especially for B2B business like startup founders. How can you combine all those techniques into the real practice? So I would also like to show one of the examples how I leveraged the 5 techniques that JD just mentioned from the practice from my real work. Yes. So as Sparklabs, we are helping founders to grow their business. So as you know, like founders, they all have their own wish list. They want to connect with like certain kind of the company's executives. So one of the company from our previous batch that they want to connect with like they want to connect with like DHL. And I later think about who is the best person to connect at the DHL. I know someone at DHL, but it's not high enough. So I later searched like the head of DHL, the managing director of DHL. So I just sent out the LinkedIn message and using the techniques that JD just mentioned. So I explored that who is among the industry, who is the expert among the logistics industry. So definitely like DHL, UPS, and all those kind of international orders. The second part, I said a target who's the right person. Sometimes it might be the managing director. Sometimes it might be some of the EPs who is mainly in charge of the operation, who is in charge of all the collaboration with startups, and set up the right channel for people who is the managing director from the multinational companies. Usually, like the LinkedIn is the best way to reach out to them. Sometimes if you are reaching out to them who is a heavy Facebook user, maybe Facebook message is one of the channels you can leverage. So you click the right channel and then minimize the effort that your target will like to pay off. So for example, like maybe 15 minutes coffee chat time or like 30 minutes like conference call time, I think that would be suitable. So don't say like, hey, can I take you 1 hour? Because for executives, like 1 hour counts, and that means a lot of time from the executives, and then will be delivered. So here's a real showcase. So I'm reaching out to, this is so real because I want to show some beats, right, to the audience who participate in the event tonight. So this is the managing director of DHL. I set up from like 6:33 a.m. I got a jogging habits in the morning. So after I usually jog at like 5:36 a.m. Afterwards, I was like, good morning, it's Edward from Taipei. We are running an accelerator like of Taiwan International. So I want to explore 30 minutes coffee chat with you to explore the co-op opportunities. Here's how we do. So here's like the parts that I divided into 3 parts. The first part will be one-liner. So how can you describe the things you are doing within just one line? I think that's quite important because a lot of time that the startup try to use a lot of paragraphs and sentences to describe what you are doing. The second part, you should show what you are asking for. Because a lot of times we are receiving the request that we talk a lot, but we don't know what you are asking. So what do you want from me? And then will be the appendix or the evidence that you're showing that you are really good, or that someone say you are really good, and then we're cutting. So you see, I sent out at like 6:33 a.m. I received the feedback at 7:53 a.m. So it's for most of the time, executives also reply very fast, and then I reply almost like 3 hours afterwards. So I said, hey, can I book your time maybe next Monday or Tuesday afternoon, go to your office or anywhere that works for you. So I tried to minimize the effort for him to set up the meeting. Thanks again for your time. But I also got very limited time to meet him. So I said next Monday or Tuesday afternoon. And then sure, Monday or Tuesday is good. So get it to me on time. So this is the real thing. So you see, I sent out a message on April 22nd. We met in person April 26th. So just within that's also including weekends. So within that 3 business working days, I met the managing director of DHL, and not just because of that business case, he later joined Sparklabs as a mentor. And last month, he became an introducer to one of our other companies, and right now we build a very close relationship with Sparklabs, and we're not using some of our other companies' solutions. So here, leverage all the techniques that JD just mentioned. So if you also try to build your connections or try to hunt your mentors or find your investors, the best way to reach out is to reach out. A lot of the time, you are thinking too much, but without like hesitate too much to really send out the message. But really need to customize the message you are sending out. So here just the thing that I want to also share with you. Yeah. Okay. So here comes to the first part of the fireside chat. I would like to invite Dirk to the stage, and Dirk also wants to share some of the case of the experiences. So today, I think the audience will learn a lot from other practices. Okay, I'll hand over the time to Dirk.
Thank you. Thank you, Edgar, and thank you, JD, for the introduction. I think the 5 points of the B2B sales and the BP are quite important. And just a quick introduction of myself. I'm Dirk, and I have worked for B2B sales for more than 12 years, and including SAP, the biggest enterprise software company, and also a startup. And right now I work in Google for strategic account. So from strategic account point of view, how do we apply these 5 techniques into the real world? So today I will share about the account planning, because account planning is really important. No matter it's for startups or for some big company. So when we do the account planning, there are only 3 points. First, who are we selling to? So what kind of company they are running, or what industry they are staying in. Second, why?
what is a compelling event the company face. So we need to create a sense of urgency for the people with that. And third one is how, what kind of message or the activity we are engaged with. Like Debbie mentioned about the LinkedIn message or cold calling or email, you can create a lot of things that you can do. So, I mean, account planning is about these three parts: who, why, and how. So today I will share a real example of how we did to one strategic account. And I separate into 7 bullet points: fact sheet, strategy, org chart, five line activities. So I will share one by one. First is about fact sheet. So you have to understand what kind of company you are selling to. In which industry? Is it textile industry or high-tech industry or in footwear company? And which customer, their end customer, what they are dealing with. And also about the financial report for their profit margin or their growth, their sales revenue. So you have to understand the customer. Then how many locations they are running or how many stores they are running. So first of all, you have to do some homework by yourself to study your customers. Secondly, about the corporate strategy. So you also need to understand your customer strategy. Maybe it's about a growth strategy, or they have some operation planning to reduce the cost that your solution might fit, or they need to do some remodeling. So these are the strategies. So you can find this strategy from the annual report. If you have to read some IPO annual report, there's some section which show their short-term, long-term, and mid-term plan. So you can find out the strategy on annual report, or you can find some like stock investor. Stock investor always ask what is the strategy of their company, and also you can also do some to call your friend who stay in that in similar industry to know about the insight. So secondly, you need to know about the agenda. What is their company strategy? And another thing that is really matters is about organization charts. So we can always easily to find organization chart, but what is the power chart inside the company? Because what are in charge are more than billions revenue company. They are more than 10,000 employees, so there are a lot of people inside the company. So which target person you are call with or you are talk with? So you need to understand the power chart of the company, because some company CEO will do top-down decisions, but for certain company they are do some bottom-up. You need to do some annual budgeting, to do some execution, IP. So you need to understand the political and also know about the relationship between a CEO or CTO, because sometimes they are like some relatives. So always in a big group, there's some political you have to play with. Then after we understand the company, industry, and the organization, then you need to create some we call a compelling event. Why they need to change, and why you, and why them. So why change? Without your solution, company runs smoothly in the past years. So why your solution can help them grow or to face some challenge. So you always need to like deep dive some later, what keep them up at night, because CEO always have some concern, they cannot sleep well, maybe they have some fear, or they are afraid of the company cannot grow anymore. So you have to find something that you can make them change. Maybe from their annual report, do some analysis about their revenue growth, the profit, or their competitive bid. So after you understand that, you can create some the compelling even why they need to change. Maybe if you sell some cloud hosts or you sell something like the equipment and make their factory more efficiently, they can convince them. And the second part is why you, because I mean you are not unique. You need to find some unique selling point because in the industry there are some vendors provide a similar product like you. So you always need to find out what you are unique. For example, right now I selling Google Cloud, and we always face the competition from Amazon or the Microsoft. So what kind of unique selling point we are selling? Maybe we have some local data center, we have some AI machine learning. So you have to analyze your competitor. What is their strengths, weakness, and why you can provide to your customer that they matter to them. So you have to find some sweet spot here. So why you, that is really important. And the third one is why now, because for startup, you always face some investor pressure, and for sales professional, we always face some like quarter end or year end pressure. So we always need to push the deal forward. So finding out is also really important. They can make a decision maybe 2 weeks, 2 months later, or 2 years later. So why now? So as a sales or BD, you need to create a sense of urgency. So from the company point of view, you need to, maybe you can provide some special discount, or you only have limited spot for the deal, or even you have some immediate benefit to that to improve their top line or bottom line. They really matter to that sector. Or you know that they have some special event. For example, they have a new factory which will open, or they have some IPO plan, or they have some remodeling plan. So you have to understand what is the company agenda. And the other point is about personal agenda, because we are selling. Selling is a personal thing. So you also need to understand your stakeholder personal agenda. Maybe he or she want to get some promotion. And maybe when they use your solution, they can get some promote easily. So you also need to understand his or her personal agenda. Then relationships also matter. When the product is quite similar, if you can create the strong relationships, help them help you sell it. So from company perspective and the personal perspective, you can create some sense of urgency. And the last part is about engagement activity, which is what JD mentioned. You can do some channel engagement, you can do some marketing event, you can do some copy chats, you can do LinkedIn message, but that's right after you analyze the whole account, and you can plan some activities. So this is a real real example of what we did every day. I'm in charge of strategy. I only have 5 customers. So for a startup or company which has a limited customer, and also you need to drive the millions deal, millions sales deals, maybe you can apply this way. It can make you efficient and make you more logical and holistic view of the customer. And that's another lesson. Account planning is a continuous process. It's not one shot. You always understand the industry, and we help you to sell better. So yes, here's my experience sharing to adopt what JD mentioned about 5 techniques. Thank you.
We'll go straight to the Q&A section, and we just decided like we will skip the break section. So if you want to go to the restaurant over there, you can go there and help yourself, and we will have the Q&A for 10 minutes. So anyone have questions, just raise your hand. We'll pass the microphone to you.
Yes.
Hey there, nice to meet you. Some of my clients in my company, they are not a IPO company. So how do you get the power map from this company? Because I do believe, you know, your stakeholder is pretty important. How do you do the stakeholder management without IPO, this kind of public report online? Thank you.
Okay, short answer. Make friends. If I have a question, how to have a open chat and to investigate. Yeah, I mean, because sometimes the company is not really, public, so you have to like leave a message to someone, and you can have a coffee chat to understand their background and the power chart. It's always like that. Even the IPO company, because you don't know their power chart, maybe you is the son or daughter of the founder. So you always need to make friends with them.
You can also just ask, right? A lot of times, like when you meet somebody, you can just ask, like, what are you working on? Or what problems are you thinking about this year? So those are some ways to do it. Who else? Did you guys think this session was valuable? How many people thought it was valuable? Okay, good. Yeah. All right, let's do this. TSMC.
Okay, so my question is, we try to do the idea and we enjoy Sparklabs Taipei at the moment. When I started my life, and we decided to have a semiconductor user, which we think, okay, that could be our vertical industry client. And at that moment, we think, okay, if we want, we have to pick just one client, then we want to pick the biggest one. But right now, I think probably that's not a good idea, because if you don't have enough resource and you have very high possibility to grow. And so when luckily we did that, so we survived on the so when I say you are thinking, I totally agree. We have limited resource. We only focus on just one or two clients, especially in the same client. But they are all very, very big. So, and sometimes they don't want to share with you. They use your product, they use your service, and you try to imagine their problem. As you said, the problem statement is the most important thing. But as a start, we need to test the problem statement many times. And if they don't want to feedback to you, and they are like the most important players, now how do we do? So for instance, we got a very good deal from them. And then all the VCs, all the investors say, hey, you got a very great client, one of them. And why they need your service? Why do they have to use your product? What's the value you create for this client? I cannot answer this because they share nothing to us. We don't have any problem power. So we learn, as a start, we are not just focusing on sales. We are also focusing on the feedback.
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a good point, and maybe I'll talk about it real quick. So I will say first, right? Tonight's focus is around how to find new leads, right, for your channel. So the fact that you got to that client, whatever you did was probably successful, right? And so we want to share ideas around like how to find new leads for that channel. Now, for your specific scenario, right? I think we probably need to know a little bit more context, but there's all sorts of reasons why you would want to work with pilots, right? Why you want to work with logos. Do you want the revenue first? Do you want the logo? Is it for fundraising? There's a lot of those reasons. I would say that what you mentioned is that you want this feedback loop. Okay. One thing in the scoping process, so this is a little bit beyond lead generation, but one thing in the scoping process you can do is, one, write it into your contract, or two, make sure that that's, very valuable in the engagement, and see what they say, right? Actions speak as loud as words. So what they do in response can tell you if you're going to be good partners or even if you're going to work together.
Since we're focusing on like how to find like B2B leads, I think many of you might want to think about how can we find like the tier 1 or number 1 targets as our B2B leads. So one way you can use, you definitely like they will ask about like, who are the reference that they refer to, right? And one way that you can use is from competitors. So even like number 1 among the industry, they have something that they are aware from. Usually, like there's a lot of examples. So one way is that you can do the double pitching. You can pitching to different sites to say, hey, we hit them that you are also talking to the other players around the market. That's one way. The second part is go from the research report providers. So how can you market yourself? It's more about B2B marketing, which is not today's topic, but how can you have your brand name among the market? So one example is, I think when we actually joined last like +1 dinner within a month, and we came up tonight's event because I just showed with JD together with like Startup brand. I think everyone knows that we want to help the startup, we want to help the company to go out, and we are doing something meaningful. So how can you build that brand that that is trustworthy, and also that is the branding is like so powerful. So I don't think like using a lot of like press release is good. You need to use the press release so careful to put your brand power that's like high enough to convert the market leader to join you. So how can you do that? I think that's another topic we can discuss. But how can you put them into your pipeline and convert them to your like a target and be your customer? So back to the question, how can you collect the feedback? I think relationship matters. So you're not just doing business, because if they want you to be successful, they really want to provide feedback service. And they also want to be a longer term relationship. So from executives, that would be the feedback from executives, that would be super important. So how can you do the business, but also build a relationship with their executives? I think that would be super key and super important. So a lot of time when you're a business owner, you just want to sell things to your clients. You don't want to make friends with someone who don't buy your things. But a lot of time, make friends first, and business will come afterwards. Yes.
So this is the reporter, and many thanks for today's speech. So this question for you is like first time when you get in contact with the companies, and you might be not have any connection or networking to the key man to your business development. So how did you know about the first time you get in touch, the person is maybe one of the key men in this company? Because like you might say they have some political networking in this company, and might be he or she is not the key man, so they don't have the pinpoint to help you to make course of your support. So how did you know? First one, the question is, how did you know about this team and his connection with the others? So you have to persuade the first one so you can get into the second one. And the last question is like, how did you like know you might use some vocal skills to some person, but how did you know that the time limit is enough for you to keep in touch?
Yeah, I think the question is, if you're new to a company, how do you know who you're talking to and if they're the key man or key person, right? So one thing, at the end of today, I have a slide that says, what do you want for the next event? I have 4 topic ideas. I actually want you guys to vote, and we could do that for the next event. Why I bring that up is one of the ideas for the next event is how to lead a discovery call, which is kind of what you're saying. If you meet somebody new, right, how do you find out if they're the right person for you to talk to? My answer, and again, I come from doing business as a partner background, like good partnership business. That's what I do. Consultative, help each other out. accountable, but good partners. So my answer is ask, just ask. Like, hey, are you in charge of this? What is valuable about our technology? Who's the right person to talk to in your organization? Who do you report to? Who will be the decision maker? How does this work, right? I actually come from it from like asking what we call BANT. It's called budget, authority, need, timing. And I ask questions. That's one really good way. If they don't tell you, right? If they don't tell you, a lot of times you didn't get your problem solution statement right. That's why they didn't tell you. Because if you got your problem solution statement right, they should benefit. New job, new promotion, new budget, new project, they would benefit and they want to tell you. So if they don't tell you, it means you didn't hit your problem solution statement right. If you did, and then you could just ask.
Yes, I totally agree about JD. Ask. So you need to find an insider or coach, no matter in an organization or outside the organization, because in this industry, you might know some friend who in the industry that you can consult with about the company or the industry. So it's easier for you to understand the company. And the second part is about leveraging some social network, social media such as LinkedIn, Facebook, or even Google search. We always try Google search the name, English name, or everything you can find out to study which school they went. So you can find a lot of things on the internet. So that's what we normally do before we reach out to the customer.
Let's do one more question. Yeah.
I like one question. How can marketers can show they have potential to become a good sales, good BD or good account executive? Either they don't only have marketing experience, but without any experience of closing deal or servicing any customer, any advice?
That's a great question. So I think the question is, how can marketers either transition into sales or learn how to do more sales, right? I have an answer, but Edgar, do you want? So in B2B, B2C is a little bit different, right? But in B2B, it's usually like one thread. So you have marketing, you have demand gen, you have inside sales a lot of times. So if you're doing online sales or SaaS, inside sales into account executives, right? So one way you could do it is to go through that thread. So as a marketer, maybe you're a social media marketer, maybe you're a content marketer, then go and learn demand gen, right? Like what happens, how to convert somebody into a lead, and then go and learn SDR, which is sales development rep, so that you can ask the right questions. And then finally, at the end, you'll probably learn how to be an AE, which is how to negotiate and how to close a deal and how to do that cycle. So that's what I would say, like in a traditional B2B sense, like follow that thread, okay? A very practical thing, right? This is like most of life. If you want a job or if you want to be, if you want that job, you're gonna need to go where those people are. So then if you're a marketer and you want to get into enterprise sales, you got to go meet enterprise salespeople, right? You got to network, you have to go to events like this, expand your network, and somebody somewhere should probably give you a chance, again, as an SDR in early stage, and then you learn. The thing that I would say is, unless you have really good intuition to close, I wouldn't, if you're a marketer, and then you go apply. Actually, I'm hiring for AEs. Actually, great. I am hiring for AEs. At PMF, we need more closers, account executives. If you are interested, please come find me. We are hiring right now. That being said, if you are a marketer with no AE or closing experience, I'm probably not considering you for this job. But I will consider you for SDR or something a little bit earlier. But just realize and understand how sales works. And so you probably want to learn the inside sales SDR first, and then keep going after that.
Yeah, we're hiring market managers. I think it's actually for a good business development, like could be to become like a marketer, because you know the whole process, so you know how to shorten that path. So the fastest way to become like a BD or sales is to go through that process. So you know how painful that is to not to close the deal. So if you come through that process that you don't really know how to close the deal, then you know which is the bottleneck that you should push more or put more resources on from the marketing side. But usually for a lot of times, I could really know how to market because you know how to circle, like put a lot of resources or a lot of like branding among the target that you try to close. So I think just go through that kind of process that will let you approach that role as soon as possible.
So I mean, I know a lot of sales people have different backgrounds. Some background engineering or some marketing. So you always need to find your edge. As a marketer, you have just like what Edgar says, you know the whole process from demand gen to channel to channel marketing. So you have your edge, and you can also choose the product to sell. And there are a lot of market solutions. So you need to find your edge. And in sales, it's just like make friends. You need to deal with relationships. You need to deal with people. So once you find your edge, then you can easily get used to sales job.
Okay, let's wrap up the Q&A section. And we're gonna have Roger here come up. But before we do, everybody stand up for 10 seconds. Okay, and then Roger, whenever you're ready. So everybody stand up, stretch a little bit. You want to go to the bathroom, it's a good time. But we're gonna start the next section. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, yeah, sure. All right.
你要重新整理。
有，这样可以。
OK， 然后再开始。
All right, everybody back to your seats. We will have time for networking.
那个活动的最后面。哎呀，
下一个是。
Okay, everybody, stretch your legs. Let's start settling in. Okay, so next up, we have with us a really distinguished speaker. I'm actually very interested in his background, looking forward to what he's going to share with us today. He was on the demand gen team at Appier, and I think a lot of people have heard of the company Appier. And now he is at Mastercard. And I'll let him do a better intro than that. But everybody, please give it up for Roger.
Yeah, so okay, so thanks everyone for staying till the end. Yeah, so I will speed up my sharing thing, so we are running out of time. So just a quick shot of myself. So in the past 10 years, also I spent most of my time in data and digital field. So my first full-time job was in a company called AP. It's a US-based company. They originally invested by private equity and also investment banks. And they did enterprise SaaS. So that was actually 12 years ago. So that was my first time, getting to enterprise SaaS space. So I was there first BD for Asia. So you can imagine that the only resource I got as a BD for /sales is an Excel sheet. What do I mean by Excel sheet? So my manager only told me, okay, Roger, I give you a Excel sheet that lists down 10 companies in mainland China and go. Let's get that. That was the only resource I got. Okay, that's how I started my career in B2B sales. And afterward, a few years, the company got acquired by Mastercard. And so, after that, I was Yahoo doing regional strategy, mainly focused on mobile product. So during that time, the company was a large transformation globally, moving into mobile space. So I was involved in a lot of those projects. And before joining Mastercard, I was happier. I worked for the company for almost 6 years. So when I joined the company, we were barely nobody. Yeah, so no one in the industry know this company, and not to mention that you want to sell this to the company. Not only in Taiwan, we actually the company operates in more than 50 markets globally. So it's very hard to do lead gen or new business acquisition for one market if you are working in Taiwan, and not to mention you need to do that for more than 50 markets. So that was my job. So more than I believe that 7 or 8 years ago in Taiwan, actually no one knows about demand gen or lead generation. So we gave us a chance that we want to build a world-class lead gen team from Taiwan. Okay. So that was the mission that we got. So we started from only one person, which is myself, trying to figure out how to do lead generation. Basically, how do you get new customers when you are working in Taiwan, but you need to spot on those customers globally. So that was the mission that we had. And after we probably spent about 2 and 3 years, and we built a global team of 30. So all the way from strategy to growth marketing, digital and field marketing, all the way to lead generation. So we build end-to-end lead generation for the company. The company actually is doing enterprise SaaS. So the demand gen and also lead gen process very different from the traditional enterprise companies. So if you are interested in data, we can exchange something. So after that, I joined Mastercard. So right now I'm more focused on enterprise customers. So I'm serving enterprise clients like financial service companies or retail or e-commerce company with digital players. So that's about my background. And just want to make a disclaimer before I dive into my sharing today. On the left-hand part, you can see the content is more relevant for you guys. You follow. First, you are working at a B2B SaaS company, okay? And your stage is ranging from new venture, meaning that you personally you are a founder, till probably pre-IPO or series. Okay, so this is more suitable for you if you are in this stage. And also your product and service are serving all the way from enterprise and also mid-market. You are not only target specific clients, but not specific type of customers. And 50% of your company's revenue actually come from net new acquired business. Okay, and last but not least, your main goal is generating new business. Okay, so if this is a fit into your situation, and I think my sharing today will be more relevant. And however, that the content might not be that relevant if you are only selling to large enterprise. When I say that means that okay, for example in Taiwan, you only target the top 5 companies, then probably my content won't be too suitable. The reason being that for companies who are serving only the key account, you don't need to do lead generation because you have a very solid, well, you should be, right? You have very solid relationship with those key account. You know all the people within the organization, right? And 90% of your revenue from existing customer, that this is so typical that when you are selling those key accounts. And if your main goal is actually upselling or cross-selling to your install base customer and not for generating new business, then probably my sharing won't be that relevant. So I just want to make a disclaimer
first. Okay, so my goals for tonight is only have like 15 to 20 minutes, so I'll be sharing very quickly. The first one is I want to really provide the tangible tactics that we can already use it from tomorrow. Okay, and second thing is today my purpose here is like change management, not really like teaching about, because I actually see that a lot of experience of B2B sales professionals in this crowd. So I think that you guys also know better than me. So I just want to share some of my learning in the past as a change. And so let me define lead generation before I dive into the sharing comments today. So for lead generation, in my definition, I think it's your goal, lead generation equal to get the first meeting, either is video call or in-person meeting with your prospecting customer. That's my specific definition of lead generation. Okay, so all the content I covered today regarding lead generation is about how do you get the first you call discovery call or you call pitch meeting, whatever, is that really get the first foot into the customer. Okay, so I summarize the 3 main challenges for the startup new venture when you are doing lead generation. Number one, you actually don't know who you should target. Basically, you don't have target company lists. Right? For example, I just shared my example like more than 10 years ago. The only company list I got is only a sales team with 10 companies. Right? But this is very hard for you to do lead generation. You need a very rich information of all the company you can target. And the second challenge for startup is that you don't know how to reach the right person. Basically, you don't have any contacts. You can imagine, even though you want to go approach a company A, but actually you know no one in the company, right? And the last part of this is actually even you want to try to connect to those companies, very hard because you don't have any brand name, no one knows you, right? And also, why those challenges are very severe for startups that I put into this you can see growth divided by time spent. Basically, this is the most critical factor that when you are working at a startup or a venture company, every single day you want to optimize the efficiency and effectiveness of this. Right? You are the time is very limited, so you need to make sure everything you do, especially for lead generation, you need to do it very effectively and also in an efficient way. Okay, so that's also the challenge my team and I face when we are building the global lead gen team actually after. So today I want to share with you guys 5 techniques from my past example. So the first one I call is a look-aside strategy. So before you do any lead generation, okay, here's a common mistake of people are having is that they actually don't have a clear view of what kind of customers they need to go after. But they just try every way to approach as many companies as possible. But at the end of the day, that they found actually this is waste of their time. Right? You are not targeting the right customers. So one classic example is that if you ask yourself and say, okay, who you want to target? Say, okay, I want to target retail companies. But it's too broad. This is very dangerous. When you are doing the lead generation, you need to be very specific. So my humble learning and also suggestion is that you should shift from only have this very high level into like this. You need to analyze the attributes of your existing customer, because normally if your company or yourself are thinking of doing lead generation, that means your company already have the product market fit. If today your company products or service doesn't have the strong product market, meaning that you have very solid use case with a certain company and the client willing to pay. If this situation is not happening for a company, my humble suggestion is that not do lead generation yet. But if you already have a solid use case, normally that company, this type of company that they were willing to pay for my service, and also this is the result, then this is a good way of for you to think about lead generation. So if you have that, then those are the attributes that I suggest you should look at.
The first one is about the business model, like are you targeting B2B company or are you targeting to B2C companies? Because the approach will be totally different. And also the revenue strategy, you need to think about, you know, your target customers. When they are doing business, are they targets the volume game or they are target the you know, high value customers? Because this the challenge they are facing, also the strategy they are implementing for their business will be also different. Okay, and also size of the business and size of business actually quite different. If you are companies are doing different solutions. For example, if you are selling like a CRM solution to e-commerce company, right? You probably care more about their online traffic versus their, you know, their actual revenue. Of course, the higher revenue and the higher traffic is better. But sometimes that if you are selling to e-commerce, probably you care more about their volume of their traffic. And also, you have to think about what tools or technology they are using. This is actually a quite unique approach. A lot of companies, when they do lead gen, they are not thinking about this way. You have to think about, okay, maybe for a specific type of company, if they are using XYZ tool, then those customers typically will be the best fit. I give you an example, right? So if you are selling a CRM, the CRM example, you are selling a CRM software to e-commerce company. In this case, if you're a prospecting customer, they invest a lot in digital marketing. Probably that means that they have a higher chance to become a better fit of your customer. Why? Because they are willing to spend to acquire high valuable customers, right? So in that sense, that means that they probably will also interested in how can they optimize their marketing spend. So you pitch to them about your SaaS solution, probably will get higher attention versus to another e-commerce company. They only do organic search or, you know, SEO stuff. Okay, so that's the example. And also, the problem you are solving, the use case, this is very important because you know to know exactly that what specific problems that you are helping the customer to solve via what kind of way. And this is particularly important because when you are start doing the lead generation, you need to duplicate those use cases to other similar clients. So that's why I define this strategy called lookalike. Lookalike means that you already have one type of customer. You use you analyze all the attributes that you can find, and you find the most alike customer for your next customer acquisition targets. Does that make sense? Okay. Next one is metric-driven lead generation optimization. This part is also very critical. I found a lot of companies, especially for startups and venture. Normally, when we do lead generation, it's not really systematic. We always say, okay, let's just go, acquire customers. So you will probably have this kind of situation. Oh, we need to get more leads, and I got 5. You probably yourself will say, oh yeah, I got 5 new leads today, and you say, oh, I think we are doing very good lead generation. But from my perspective, I think without a very clear definition and also systematic way to define your lead generation strategy process will be very dangerous because you cannot measure, just like I mentioned here, like if you don't have the process, then that means that you don't know what kind of data you want to track. And without data, then that means that you don't have measurement. If you don't have measurement, you cannot improve your whole lead generation cycle, the process. So my recommendation is that instead of without any definition, like everyone's, for example, you have 5 sales, and then everyone's every sales their definition of leads is different. It's very hard for you to manage, even yourself as a sales. You don't know how to manage your pipeline. So my recommendation is that from having no clear definition to you should have a very specific process. And each process you need to give the indicator with a specific definition. For example, what kind of you want to look at? Okay, number of accounts.
So what do we mean by number of accounts, right? Because your sales A will say, yeah, I got 5 accounts on my hand. I want to target. And the sales B say, yeah, I got another 3. But actually, their definition of the type of a customer they are putting on their account list is totally different. So it's very important you need to define, okay, when I say number of accounts, meaning that the right types of companies that we can target, meaning that, for example, we are selling to B2C companies. Those are all B2C companies. The second thing is the number of contacts. This is a very important indicator when you are doing lead, especially for startup, because finding new contacts is extremely challenging. Basically, 90% of your time when you are doing lead generation is finding the new contacts. So the contact could be emails, phone, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, line, and depends on the market's nature. And if you got the account and also the contacts, the next very important thing is that you need to have one indicator, the number of sales funnels, which is called SDR, qualified contact, meaning that the contact you found is actually callable or it's a value. But valid, like you send out email, it's not bounce back. This is very important. So after you have done the first 3 indicators, the next one will be very important, which is the number of leads. So number of leads, coming back to our definition earlier, is the first meeting arranged with the prospect company with a date and time confirmed. So normally for a growing stage company, the lead generation funnel that we every single day we look at number of leads, how many new meetings that we generate with the right accounts and the right person. And after that, the following will be transitioning to field sales. Okay, so you finish the first meeting, then when you get the first meeting arranged, then the next thing is that your field sales or your account executive need to do the pitch for the first meeting, right? So after that, normally you can discuss with the field sales whether or not this is qualified leads that you can follow up, and then you will all the way go to the qualified opportunity and close deals. So this is specific process with clear definition is very, very important before you do any lead generation campaign. This is my strong advice. In my past experience, I think we actually spent about probably 6 to 12 months to really test out the funnel to see what are the right indicators for us to measure so that we can maximize our time and resource together. And my learning is that once you have all the process and indicator defined, then every single day you just ask yourself, okay, how do I increase the numbers of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and how do I improve conversion? Whether it is from finding the right accounts to getting the meeting, this is also the conversion A, or you want to focus more on your first meeting to the second meeting's conversion. So every company is that in different stage and also in your different situation, the conversion you want to optimize might be different throughout the time. Okay. And the next one is systematic prospecting strategy. So we just talked about the process, right? The lead generation process. So starting from the first one, it's very important for you to identify and analyze the right company. And when I say right company, that you can imagine in front of you there's a spreadsheet or Excel sheet, and there's a name list of the companies that you need to pull up, right? So before we have this kind of a systematic approach, a lot of companies, when they do lead generation, they just in Chinese we call Taiwan Tech. So you just thinking out loud, oh yes, I think we want to approach for this company because I heard of this company, right? This is pretty normal, right? But after you approach or you come up with those companies you have heard of, then you are stuck with, right? Because lead generation is all about the volume. You need a good amount of the target customer for you to do the activity. So my recommendation is that you need a systematic way to generate the list of the company. So how can you do that? My approach is from two angles, top down and bottom up. Top down, you need to leverage. Right now, everyone talk about digital transformation. In sales, you also need to digitize your sales process. You need to leverage digital tools. What do I mean by digital tool? You need to use a certain tool that can help you to pull out a list of prospect company that you can go after. So just give you an example, I'm not sure if anyone here that are selling, CRM solutions or e-commerce solutions, then I think this is a tool that you can use that basically you can understand, companies that are having monthly traffic between, X and Y, and what other companies can, right? Or what are the mobile applications the company they are using X, Y, Z tools, right? This is very critical because once you have implemented this digital tool, then you can have a very solid and clear view of the top 100, top 1,000, even top 5,000 companies that you can approach for your given market and territory. So that's one thing you can consider. And also company database, right? Because nowadays a lot of companies actually providing, I call it as a company intelligence platform, like Dumb and Precious, right? You can pull out, let's say, okay, what are the companies revenue between, X and Y, and X and Y, right? So that would be another one. And I think I also recommend that you can try, approaching some of the associations. If you are selling to e-commerce, then you should get involved to the e-commerce association. Why? Because normally on the e-commerce association on the website, that there will be a member list. Like those should be the right target for you. The last one is industry report. I think nowadays a lot of consulting firms or research firms, they will provide this kind of, let's say, the top 100 e-commerce by ranking by revenue. So those are information should be pretty relevant and useful. So those are the four approach I suggest you guys can implement for top-down approach. However, even you already have like very comprehensive top-down, you still will have some missing accounts. So I also recommend you can try bottom-up. Bottom-up is, for example, you can constantly research the news. For example, you are again back to the CRM solution, right? If you are selling CRM solution, then you should observe the news. So what are the company recently mentioned about they want to do digital transformation, or they want to do customer acquisition and so on and so forth, right? So from those news research, you can also get some of the nets that are not covered by the top-down approach. And the last one is basically on the street and on your phone. What I mean, again, back to the CRM solution, right? Every single day you are browsing your phone, you will see a lot of companies placing their ads. And those company probably will be a good prospect company for you, right, to reach out, right? Because they are investing in the digital market. So that's the example, right? So top-down approach and bottom-up approach. That's my recommendation for a systematic prospect. And after that will be the outreach strategy. So here I put the omni-channel outreach strategy. I think lucky enough, nowadays when we do lead generation as a sales or as a BD, that you have a different tools or channel that you can use compared to the past. You probably only have, you either go directly to the customer's office to, right? Or you write handwriting email and try to fetch to the customer. But nowadays, actually, you have tons of digital tool that you can leverage. But before I jump into the execution, I want to share my personal philosophy. I think for outreach strategy, right, before we do that, no one wants to be pitched. Seriously, no one wants to be pitched, right? But everyone wants to know how to improve their business and works. Does that make sense? Right? So this philosophy I personally use for my past 10 years. I always think about, here I say, always start with you instead of you. You can see that a lot of the pitching, email, message, or phone call, the sales will say, hey, this is Roger from a company ABC. I want to introduce you something. We are blah, 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 and I want to blah, blah, blah. And normally that the first impression of the person that will receive your call will be, oh, okay, that's another sales. But instead, if you just change a look and say, hey, I observe you are recently introducing a new service to your customers. I found it's fantastic. And you know what? I actually got an idea. How can you 5x your customer acquisition speed? Then in that mind, if I am the person, I'll say, wow, interesting. I suddenly got a call from someone who cared about me.
not only care about him or herself. This is very, very important, right? So always start from your customer. This is very important because if you have this mindset, then every single outreach execution you are doing will be entirely different. And I can share with you that your conversion rate will be more than 10 times of every other salesperson. So there are a lot of different tactics of outreach strategy. So the first one is the marketing, right? If you're a startup, no one knows you, right? But how can you make sure you can connect with the right audience? My recommendation is that when you don't have any resource, don't do it yourself. For example, today you are nobody, and then you want to host an event. Trust me, you want to. I mean, right? Why should I bother to spend time, right? But if today you either partner with a very influential person in like Edgar, right? You are nobody, Edgar somebody, right? You say, oh, today our speaker list is we have Edgar, right? We have JD, we have Star. Well, suddenly tons of people will come, right? So this is very important. Don't do it yourself. Leverage. Okay. Second thing is that if you don't have any money, but of course, hosting events costs money, right? If you don't have money, no problem. You spend a lot of money, you join others' events. For example, if you are selling to e-commerce, go to all the e-commerce conference, right? You make introduction and you start from zero, and you can get some leads. Right. So this is how you should leverage marketing approach where you have no resource. And the second thing is thinking. I think thinking, the first thing I completely agree with JD that use the connect strategy. My one suggestion I would recommend you guys. First, you need to make yourself a person that people want to connect with. A lot of here is some of the tips, right? First of all, you need to update your LinkedIn. That's very important, right? And try to build some basic connections. So, for example, you are not like sending a request and someone say, oh, someone require Roger role and have one connection. You know what I'm saying, right? So you need to do some homework first. Make your profile at least up to date, and you have professional picture, but you are not looking like someone weird. Right? It's very important. Also, very small one, but I found it very important. Make sure your company icon has a picture. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? You have a little circle, right? Run this picture. Make sure if your company don't have any landing page, create one. It's free. At this, you put down the logo, you put the image. Trust me, this makes a lot of difference. Okay, all the tactics I mentioned here, I already did the test there, so I directly show you the result. Right, that's number one. Number two, this is only my past experience, but take it as a reference. Don't put sales in your LinkedIn profile and your title. Again, no one wants to be pitched, right? So, for example, if you got a LinkedIn connection, oh, from Roger, account sales, enterprise looking sales, right? Or e-commerce sales will be your first impression. Sales. Right. I know this time you're trying to sell me something, right? So give an example, right? When I was leading my SDR teams, I did an experiment. I said, okay, let's do an A/B test. A group you put sales development or whatever, and B group you put growth specialists. We are not lying because I told all my SDR, I say that, hey, you need to shift your mindset. You are not sales. You are a growth expert that you have solutions to help your client to grow their business. So of course you are a growth specialist, right? And guess what? The conversion rate 10 times difference. At this, we are, I'm not selling something, right? I'm not selling you something. I'm a growth specialist, right? So my recommendation, don't put sales. But again, you can test out yourself, okay? And use LinkedIn to get email, not for pitching to meeting. This is a lot of times I found a lot of sales are very, in Chinese, very 心急, very cheap, right? They want to do everything. They want to keep their KPI to only one thing, right? So they will write a very lengthy email. They will say, hey, I want to give you ABC, and you know what? I also want to get an appointment with you, and you know what? I want to also introduce you to blah, blah, blah. No, everyone actually only one purpose. For linking, my advice is only use that to get an email. You don't need to pitch them. Come on. You can imagine your client, right? Right now, I'm going to a bar and then browsing a phone, and then there's a linking request, and then 1,000 words. Well, but if today you just say, hey, you know what? Hey, Star, I understand. Probably I will make it even shorter. Hey, Star, I got a industry report that's helping B2B sales in 10 times your sales revenue. May I have your email that I can share with you this reference? Right. So make sure that you only have one goal for a specific action. And once you get the email, then of course you can have more room for your approach. Does that make sense? Okay. And linking, when I say linking the company, right? The company will always pitching you. You need to buy a sales navigator. Why? Because it's very important. With the sales navigator, you can send email even they are not connected with you. Okay, tell you. No, not working. Anyone wants to reply you on your linking email. Okay, so only use sales navigator. However, it's very useful for you company research because they have some filter. Oh, I want to filter title, marketing, digital, growth, whatsoever. Right? Very good for you to do prospecting research, but not for you to do pitch. If you need to get their email, write a very short and sweet message and then get their email. And digital tool, again, thanks to digital transformation, there are a lot of companies provide company intelligence, right? So a company called Zunfo, they're actually quite interesting company. What they are doing, you go to their platform and you type McDonald's and CMO phone. The CMO's email and phone number appears. Then you can start reaching out to them. Or they have some technology. And this company went IPO about 1.5 years ago. Right? So that is kind of digital tool so that you can also get the email and call. And last, the next one is Coco. Coco again is very important skill nowadays. I think I look at some of the articles saying that okay, Coco doesn't work nowadays. But from my past experience, even till now, I think it's still working. But you need to think again about what is your strategy. Here, I say get the net versus without net. What do I mean by that? A lot of time, sales, they also call to the operator, 总机, say, I want to speak to your marketing department. Not working. So do some homework. At least you get a specific, for example, Edgar Cho is the marketing manager, right? For example, may I speak to Edgar Cho? I got a very important package you should deliver to him. I need to make sure that he receives. Right? I'm not lying. I do have a package that say this about my communication. It's very important. It's for my KPI, right? It's very important. Right? So I need to make sure I'm then specific.
Your handwriting resume.
Exactly. Right. So this makes a lot of difference. Right? Get the name without getting the name. So do your work. It's very easy to get the high levels and you just search online, right? And the second is a hard sell and software code. Again, a lot of time people doing cold call, even the right person pick up, they say, this is Roger from company ABC. I want to blah blah blah. Again, right? So use a shit. You can just say, hey Edgar, I just read the news, published a release just yesterday. Talk about your digital transformation strategy. You want to enhance the ecosystem of your customer, blah blah blah. That's so impressive. And you know what? We recently just helped a company similar would have a similar goal and also challenges. May I share with you the summarized key takeaways by email to you? May I? Sure. Right. So it's very important is that think from the person to choose, right? What is the relevant information that he or she will appreciate? So the first one is relevance. And so, for example, it's a case study analysis report, or sometimes you can use it like even event information. For example, I want to pitch to the customer and say, hey, Star, you know what? So if you are doing COCO, you won't say what. Okay, so hey, Star, this account, we recently co-hosted an event with Sparklabs talking about digital transformation. And you are the #1 shortlist speaker on our pipeline. May us send you a VIP invitation to this event.
Wow. Yes.
Okay, so this message is people don't want to be pitched, but people want to be invited. This is the first different, right? Hard sell versus soft approach. So you use something that benefit to this person, then the second will increase. Okay, so change it, the COCO strategy. The last one is email. A lot of times people, even though you got an email from the LinkedIn line and say, oh, waiting from larger and quote company ABC. A lot of times people are using this. And I share with you once I personally tested, and which is that this. You put the company name in the front, and it use like a these things and your company, and the open rate many times than this. Do you know why? Because normally a person will have a higher attention when they see their company name or their department or their name on the email. They will have a higher attention to all of it, right? So instead of this, you see again, right? This is about you, but this is about your customers, right? So you can try it out. And about the body, I think don't try to pitch in your first cold email to your customer. Again, think about their shoes. What are the pain points they are seeing? For example, if I'm writing a cold email to a client, I normally will say, of course, I need you in the email. I would say, this is Roger, like this one sentence, and say, hey, I observed again, like I observed that recently you have this strategy 1, 2, 3. I think you might face challenging ABC. And we also have serving clients like you solving this ABC challenge. May we arrange 30 minutes quick call that we can share with you the best practice and also the use case for your reference. Right. So again, you are not pitching to them. You are providing something that will have some benefits to their business. Right. And the last one on the list is using digital tools. Right, so outreach and mail track, this is pretty good. And last one is I want to mention is all the tactics differ between each market. For example, Taiwan, I think COCO still will be the primary mechanism for you to get into this. But that's in Northeast Asia, Japan, for example, COCO doesn't work. You need to go to the marketing event. You need to get an email. You need to use the email manner. And for Southeast Asia, COCO is okay, and you can even more aggressive use WhatsApp and Line to connect with the customer. Normally, they only read your message on WhatsApp, but not reading your email, right? So every single market is different. For those companies you are targeting global market, this is my advice. And the last one on the list has a lead generation strategy. So this is just a few things I think is very important. Number one, always asking yourself what leader. This is very interesting, right? You can see lead generation every single day you will have a different activities going on. And you can constantly ask yourself, how do you find the strategy? And calibrate your lead generation based on the actual closure. Because normally when you do lead generation, after you get a first meeting, your sales will go to a meeting and hopefully close the deal. So your goal is to base on what are the deal close, then you can fine tune your targets. Okay. And last but not least, build your own 100 FAQ. You're doing lead generation, you are just like a machine, right? You receive a question, you know what is the best answer. And in that mind, you can increase your conversion rate of your particular COCO. Okay, so just to sum up, I think this is a technique, something that I want to share with you guys, all the way from identify the right accounts and define clearly your process and using systematic way to prospect your target accounts using omni-channel and change your mindset. And last but not least, constantly test and learn your lead generation process with your team member and define yourself. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll just go straight for the fireside chat. So I would like to invite Spark also to the stage for the fireside chat, and also invite Jonathan from JustKitchen, who is also a partner that we partner up for today's food and beverage. So thank you for Roger sharing. I think it's more than 5 techniques. There's another additional 5 after each 5. But I think you can tell that there's a lot of things that you need to be paying attention to when it comes to BD. And normally, when you are coming to your BD section, most of the time, really people don't want to share their techniques because that's the way how they make the order lead, right? So I want to also take this chance to I will spend that Jonathan spend a little time to make a introduction for himself.
For me, yeah. I mean, I'm Jonathan, and I'm the VP for Business Development in JustKitchen. And I want to share something. I want to circle back to one of the things that JD has, this channel and partnership. Because for my field, this is one of my favorite techniques for business development. And actually, for my target for JustKitchen for business development, we want to go for corporate meal for large corporation, right? So we built a unique relationship with unique presidents. So they already have a channel in Science Park and in highway rest area， 就是在像这个跟竹科这些科技园区。So by working together, they already know us and know what value we can bring to the customers for B2B customers. So they filter out customers for us. So by doing that, I don't have to spend a lot of time doing business development and end up wasting my time. So by doing a partner with Uni President, I successfully go into TSMC, the corporate meal TSMC, without spending a lot of money, a lot of time, trying to develop the relationship with the corporate customers. So this is one of the things I want to share. I know it's pretty late, so this is one of the things.
So what Jonathan wants to address is that, so not just collecting logos, but for building some of the key partners that will help you to expand to the tier 1 or the key partners to help you grow without spending a lot of maybe marketing budget or the BD efforts. So I think it's also very key for early stage startups if you don't have money, but that's what Kim just asked, that whether you want to all into certain kind of partners or along the way pick up some of the key partners to be but at the same time try to find how your startup can be sustainable to live until your next round of fundraising that you need to be survived. So how can you make that decision? So I also want to take this time start to do a little bit about himself.
Yeah, thanks, Zachary. And hello everyone, I'm Star. And actually I have been working for IT SaaS industry for almost 10 years. It's Microsoft, it's Apple, it's IBM, and right now I'm working for Salesforce. Does there anyone using CRM in this room? Yeah, I think average sales. I think only address one point. Aside from the outstanding speakers, my finding is that an outstanding sales account executive, sales leader, or business owner should have equipped himself or herself with the capability to leverage the technical tools or technology to boost their business, which the very directly is a CRM. CRM is the very first thing that comes to the digital transformation topics for every business, B2B or B2C. And we especially we talk about this in B2B in this group, because every B2B sales have ever used or leveraged this tool to practice their account management, BD skills, leads generation, blah, blah, blah. And also, if you are in sales ops or marketing or service agent, actually you can also use CRM to put in your methodology to grow your business on CRM. So this is the only talking point that I'm going to deliver with you, share with you, because what I find is the people who successfully leverage the CRM tool could be 3 times outperforming than others. So and right now I'm working the worst #1 CRM. So some of the tools like Salesforce, on the tools I can see exactly to grow your business with times. Yeah. So I want to add like one question from I want to take the answers from maybe Jonathan and also Star just share about like you can using CRM tools to grow your business, especially in the B2B field. So for Jonathan, you also shared about like maybe you work with that tier 1, like the Hsinchu science market, one example. But how can you grow, with the first client in the Hsinchu science part, or when JustKitchen just started, what kind of the key parts or some of the key points that whether JD shared or Roger shared that you think is super beneficial for early stage startup when they're trying to do B2B business that they can learn. They can maybe leverage it.
I think Dirk was right. He said make a lot of friends, and for we started, JustKitchen wasn't well known. So to do business, B2B business is pretty hard. Nobody really want to partner with you. So we have to wait a little bit until we a little bit well known, and we can go for the B2B section. So my job at first wasn't doing B2B for JustKitchen. My job is to open stores at first. So because it's pretty hard, even for vendor. They don't know us and they want to work with us. So it takes a lot of, it does take a lot of time to get people to know us.
So what did you do to make new friends or build a relationship?
I had a lot of friends. Actually, but they don't know JustKitchen, right? So as long as we get people getting to know JustKitchen a little bit, then I can use my own personal connections to go for targets. So that's why.
Yeah. So maybe like a question for maybe anyone from the panel as a. So like B2B business, definitely making difference or shout out like what kind of the deals we are looking for or what kind of business we are targeting. So how do you leverage your time to join like the events, or how do you take up your time to make new friends? Is there any kind of the decision making process, or how do you prioritize your time? By like making new friends or joining the event? Is there any like how any experience or maybe you can share? Okay, I'm joining the event right now. If you somebody person like Roger and if you think accuracy, then you don't have to worry about the first time. But you don't have, if you are early stage before IPO, maybe a zero startup, then you might have to think about, okay, where can I get the first client? I mean, the significant key account client. And then you will search just for example, if you take care of, if you are a fintech startup, and then you are prospecting, should be the banking, insurance company, or agency. And then you have to think about, okay, my maybe #1 consumer bank, CTBC, should be showing event in the fintech Taipei. Then I definitely have to make myself there. No matter you are just pass by or you are, I have to make process, and then you can make some impact and also bring connection with the key person, maybe the head of the BU from this bank or this key account. Okay, that's the first one. You have to be there. Okay, no matter what type of role you are. The second one, you have to think about what your solution should be, the value proposition in this market. Like many of you maybe in this room sell about part of the solution or to be business. Then there's bunch of the alliance, strategic partnership alliance should be in your portfolio. Like if I'm a line chatbot solution, I have to partnership with line. Very clearly, yeah. And then I have to attend their event, and also I have to build relationship with the ecosystem. And then joining as just like Dirk and JD says, and Roger says, I have to don't start with myself. I start premium webinar with Line, with other ecosystem partners, and then I'm maybe someone, and then I'm trying to put on my myself in this industry, and then you can make the first time. Yeah,
for sure. And you spend aside one check. How do you power back your time and also decide like which event?
I always prioritize every event. That's fine.
There's a lot of events, especially like there's a lot of like events for banking or a lot of events from like big companies, but we always want to prioritize what are events and who do we want to spend time with, right? So
in my past experience, I always prioritize those events that the keynote speaker, meaning that we are going to on the stage, are my target client, right? So I won't go to just a general e-commerce events. Why? Because if someone needs to be the speaker, that means he or she will spend at least 1 hour there. So I can leverage pre and post window to get a chance to introduce myself. Give an example, right? Very small one, but it worked. Right? 12 years ago, I was in China in a retail conference, right? All the big guy, you can end it. And my strategy is very simple. I wait the prospects outside the toilets. That was why. Because here's the thing, why I choose toilets? Because everyone needs to go to toilet. 90%. It's very good for speed. We're talking after the event, after the speech, everyone comes to the speaker, but no one comes to the toilets. Only one person, myself. So after he or she, comes, get out of the toilet, I did it myself. No one on the line, only me. Yeah, so that's. But another thing is, I think every investor question making difference. This is again the philosophical, but I think that really need to be a deeper person. Let me show you why. Because a lot of time, if you are sales, you always think about yourself. You want to get a meeting, you want to pitch to someone. The person will have a feeling very clearly. The first impression is very important. But my strategy is always I talk to someone. I always start with I think I have something that might be good for you. I always start on this. I am not asking about, hey, you give me your visit card, can I get ready? No, I always start from themselves. And then throughout the time, then they will feel, well, the first impression matters, right? They're like, oh, well, Rod is different, but he's not, there's another like 100 sales asking me for a meeting for a pitch, but Rod is not. Rod is actually trying to give me some useful information. So I think the very important philosophy is that you have to be a giver first before you go to pitch to the customer.
There's no BD events that charge you and give you delicious food.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I will take some few questions. I know it's like late, but we want to maximize that the time, like from the speakers. So any questions from the board?
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you all for the information, very useful. I'm doing lead generation for SaaS B2B company, so my work is for Roger. So I want to know, like, specifically how much do you recommend we should invest our time or money in lead generation versus like inbound or something like that? So how much, for your experience, how much should we invest on that?
You mean invest versus decide between events and inbounds?
Yeah, like for example, inbound marketing versus outbound.
Okay, my quick suggestion: don't do inbound marketing when you will have some brand name and reputation, because inbound means people come to find you instead of you finding them. But normally, those will only happen when you are somebody in the markets, right? So my recommendation is that invest in those, for example, industry event first, because you can either go to top, approach the target customer directly, or you can at least let everyone know about your company. For example, sponsor the keynote speech, you sponsor the sharing session. Yeah, so my recommendation is go invest first to event marketing if you are in the beginning of your building your venture. But if you have a big name, or for example, you have some PR release, try to maximize that. Spend advertising effort to pitch to the media press and also reporter, help you to spread out the word. And with that, then you can do inbound marketing. And if you want to do inbound marketing, first of all, you need to make sure your website works. I give example, but a lot of this, the request demo or request for information cannot you click and then so make sure you have a very easy to understand website, clear call to action, and tracking mechanism. You need to analyze your website, you know where they are coming from. You analyze the lead funnel and also information. My team and I spend a lot of time facing the call to action journey seriously, and also testing out how many questions we should have on the request and it should be more or less, and should we do autofill or not, right? But we only do that kind of massive investment only till we actually in the later stage of the startup, the venture stage. Does that make sense? Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take one or two more questions. Okay, one over there.
Hi, I'm Sam from Jumpstart. I'm just curious about what Roger said, that you had high how to say creative street smartness to approach the speakers or the presence of the client that you would like to start a business with. But I wonder whether you have encountered some difficulties or objections that had, and how did you handle the objections?
Every single second I face difficulties. You put some numbers, right? I mean, if you do a lead generation out of, like JD said, right, out of 100, I would say 1,000 actually. If you do a lead generation out of 1,000, I'll be two, people who reply you, and maybe all of them reject you. They just, suddenly found your email and say, "Oh, I want to reject," right? What I'm trying to say is, on the flip side, you send out 1,000 email, and your success rate is just like 0.2%. So doing growing new business, especially startups, every single day, every single second, because you're constantly receiving rejected email. But you need to, even though you still have like 0.2% of success rate. So you need to learn from those work email to synthesize why, and you try to grow from 0.2% to 0.5%, or actually we can increase till that's 80%. And you have to enjoy. I think being a sales or BD or startup, you have to enjoy accepting failure because every single second are rejection. But it's also rewarding because you don't need 1,000 people to reply. You need one, and it's your critical client. You get a deal, you can start from that to deal with it. That's why I said look at that strategy. Start from 1 to change to 3, etc. Yeah.
I would say like 2 sentences to the founders. The first one is unless the person you're talking to says no, otherwise keep trying. The second sentence is that even though the person says no, there's a chance. Yeah. I mean, like, it's just not the right timing, right? Maybe like for the first time he says no, he's still observing who you are. He's still observing your attitude. How do you face when he rejects you? And a lot of time, you know, for the next time he sees how you grow, he sees how you face challenges, he will come and even come back with a bigger check size. So who knows? So making that's actually the fun part of being the BD instead of like sales. The transactional, you know, period of time is actually longer. Maybe like lifelong. It's not like just one-time transaction.
Yeah, just one thing I think Edgar inspired me about this. When I switched my first enterprise sales job, right, back in 12 years ago, the SVP of sales in the headquarters, like we have like an organization. So all the superstar sales are there. And he shared with us straight out, like with 10 quotes that I recommend for every sales. I remember one thing, and I do it myself, tell now, is never, ever, ever give up. I told my team that, hey, today, he or she is not replying. It's not because he or she wants to reject it. Probably he's busy, right? He's on the way to a meeting. He missed it. So constantly trying, but of course in a good manner, right? And we can talk about that. What is the content guide? But you know, that's another story. But I've sent you like 2 emails. Yeah, why? The third email. You know what? No, I don't want to go with you. That's my answer to say. What I try to say is, don't give up in a good manner, because there's an example, you know, back to, you know, a few years ago, one of my team members that used to, hey Roger, you know, I tried to pitch this drugstore to, you know, CEO, never got a reply. I say, hey, you know, why don't you copy me? An email say, hey, you know, I want to invite, you know, my manager, blah, 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 to share. You know what? With that, my manager already sent like 10 emails, seriously, in the past 6 months. And with that email, says, oh, yeah, that's scheduled with Roger. Yes, but I think the critical point is not about Roger. Well, maybe yes, but the most important is that you keep trying, right? You keep trying.
Just never give up. Last question from the audience. If there is any. Otherwise, we will wrap up. Okay, last one.
Okay, I'm Taro from, now I'm currently working in the US cybersecurity company. And thanks Edgar and the people that who organize this powerful event, because normally to gathering so many top sales is very expensive. So my question is that from day-to-day practice that we need to quickly identify the leads that they have some pain points. And in our case that we have so many solutions that have different scenarios for the clients. So my question is that how do you decide, like Roger said, you have 100 Q&A. How do you decide qualified questions? That do you have any tips? Start. Yeah. We use Salesforce a lot.
Questions from
good to know that. And I think the lead qualification should be the big problem, or every time we I would say that the challenge for every business and every company. Because if you don't do that, then just like JD said, you are a waste of your time. And for the least qualification, in generally speaking, we do this B2B business, right? So a methodology is a BA everyone knows. A budget, authority, needs, and timeline. You have to collect every kind of the information to identify whether it's it deserves my resource put in to go from that.
I would like to add on 2 points, 2C. Compelling event and competitor. If a deal that competitor already engaged with this client, then I will assess what kind of my win rate. And if I'm a latecomer, do I have any kind of advantage to tackle this account? Or this account is very deserve my resource like TSMC, McDonald's or something. And okay, the second one is competitor and also the compelling event. Compelling event is just like Thursday. You have to create a sense of urgency to convince yourself or convince your boss or company to put your resource to go for this deal. Because if this client doesn't have any sense of urgency or compelling event to act, then it should be a big problem. It's just 陪公子读书, we would say. Many to be business face this kind of the challenge, and then some of the sales would go after this company, and then it should be a waste of time. So at this 2C, maybe it can help improve your leads qualification.
Thanks again for the panelists. I would thank Jonathan, especially for Jonathan, providing JustKitchen's great food tonight. Now I want to spend maybe like 2-3 minutes to let Jonathan to share about a little bit intro about JustKitchen.
I know it's late, so I'll try to do it under 3 minutes.
It's very crucial, very late, but you are sharing some delicious foods.
Yeah. Okay. We're already close. Okay, let's talk a little bit about JustKitchen under 3 minutes. So we are our first cloud kitchen, and we're doing business as delivery only kitchen. Okay. So with our models, we get what you want and whenever you want it. So at first you can only order our food online, use delivery or Panda. So this is our kitchen consists a lot of brands, a lot of different types of things. So you can order it at the same time in one location. Okay. So this is we founded in 2019, and we now have 22 stores, and we have successfully IPO in Toronto Stock Exchange in Canada last year. And we have we create a lot of in-house brand. This is our in-house brand. I'll talk a little bit about it. We sell beef noodle soup. Okay. We sell, this is very popular ways, body health, bento. Okay. So we have Chinese cuisine as well, Taiwanese cuisine as well, and Japanese curry, and Thai, another healthy bento. And we have another curry sales very good on the delivery platform. Okay, so we also work with a lot of other famous brands domestically and internationally. So we get license from them, so we still make it to ourselves. We just get the license partners. So we do for chain, okay, and we successfully bring chain brought to Japan and Hong Kong and other countries in the future. And we also bring famous YouTuber, Mr. Beast. He's top 3 YouTuber in the world. We just have like 100 million subscribers. Oh wow! So, and he created a brand called Mr. Beast Burger. That's what we have tonight. Okay. So so we also bring DJ Khaled fried chicken. That's what we have as well. So a lot of recently, a lot of our celebrities, they create their own virtual trends. So we work with them So we work with those brands and try to bring it into Asia. This is what we do recently. And we recently just bring IHOP to Taiwan as well. Everybody heard of IHOP? Okay. So now you can order it online in a lot of stores. IHOP in Taiwan. So this is what we do. We do brands platform. We bring brands in and we bring brands out. This is one of the things we JustKitchen do. And this is IHOP. We're gonna have all this soon. But apparently it's very difficult to make. Okay, so where did you see us? You can see us online at Uber Eats and Foodpanda. And we also do a lot of other business, B2B business. Like you can see us in commercial building. This is one of our one-on-one stores. And we also work with 7-Eleven. So we make fresh hot bento from our stores and send it to nearby 7-Eleven. And selected 7-Eleven, not all of them. So this is what we specifically designed to for 7-Eleven. You can also see us in hotels as well. We work with hotels and serve delivery partners and also their in-house dining. And this is the example I just shared. We also go into corporate meals. This is the store we have at Media Tech. So they love us because we can change our brand every few months, every few weeks. So when they come to us, they can always have a fresh experience. This is one of the strengths that we have. Okay, you can also see us internationally. We're going to Hong Kong, Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and we're prepared to go into other countries in the near future. So we're JustKitchen. Thank you.
So doing B2B, you definitely need to be something. So JustKitchen something that you can offer about you are doing B2B business. And also here today, Sparklabs Taipei, Sparklabs Taiwan, we are recruiting for our next batch. We provide our service program for early stage startups. We help early stage startup founders to grow into the global markets. I think everyone knows that we provide not just BD training, but how you connect with corporate executives through my BD skills. And also like marketing, fundraising, we help the company to grow. We host the largest MLA in Taiwan. It's a 3-month program, and it's not like a big program. We invest into the company. We also provide a lot of resources to the company. So we are taking application for the new cohorts. The application due to the after 5 days. So you can take a photo or come to our Facebook fan page to apply to the program. And also you can recommend to your friends, whoever wants to expand their business to global markets. So not just Sparklabs. So today is another co-host, Jumpstart, which is I'm also one of the co-founders. If you want to grow your BD skill sets, we realize after investing and also accelerated more than 50 startups, all the startup founders are being suffered by hiring great BDs, right? I mean, especially for senior ones. So we have a mission, and vision wants to train more BD skill sets, talents. So Jumpstart, we are also launching a new program targeting for the BD digital and also data industries. The program will start in Q1 next year. So Jumpstart is a program that we started in 2014, already being run to the batch surveys, the same as Sparklabs, right on the whole line, whole batch meetings. So we're gonna have like the program also early next year, mainly curate for the talents who have the basic BD skill sets, but want to train them after maybe 3 to 5 months long program, but train them to be adapted for the high growing startups or companies that can take them and to grow to the another level. So I also want to welcome JD to the stage again, and thank you everyone to come to our events. To spend the last few minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. It's been a great evening. So many great speakers, and thank you so much for the food and Edgar and Taiwan Tech Arena. If you like what you saw tonight, we do this every month. I hope you got a lot of information and things that you can really go and use. Next time, we probably won't squeeze like a whole day into like 2 hours. But please network. I think TTA is open for a little bit while. And then I will just put up, we're going to send out a survey for topic ideas for the next one. And if you like what you heard tonight, please vote in the survey. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next month. Bye.
So there's a survey for today's events. You can scan here. We have some questions for like your feedback to the section. Since it's a free event, so we will ask about the speakers whether they want to share their slides or not. But if you fill out the survey, you'll get a chance to have the deck that we shared today.
Yeah. And so one last thing, I mean, the reason why we do this is because we want B2B sales expertise and marketing expertise to grow. And everybody in this room is part of that mission and part of that community. So we hope you'll come back and we will see you soon. Thanks. Bye. Thanks so much. Okay.
You cannot. Can you scan the QR code? You can. So maybe you can